Hi guys, it's Blackie and welcome back to the channel. Well Blackie, it's 100 degrees now during the height of the day, and with heat index it's 108, 109, 110. So what do you do now? Well, in the past when I was younger, I could tolerate it a whole lot better. But like many of you silver wolves, when you get older, get some health problems, you get on blood thinners and stuff like that, you become very susceptible to heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So you must adjust. There's just no other way around it. But you young guys and girls have got to be very wise in it, understanding how heating works. One, there is direct heating. That means I'm out here in the sunlight, and just like a bucket of water sat out there in that blazing sun, you will absorb heat from the solar radiation, and therefore you're getting warmer. Even if you're not doing nothing but standing there, you're going to absorb heat. So shade is your friend. Now, I have said many times in videos, but I want to reiterate this. There is shade and there is shadow. Those are two different things. Shadow, a pine tree or something like that, produces a shadow. Those round pine needles do not block a lot of sunlight, UV radiation. And so it's actually more of a shadow than a shade. Too much radiation is getting by. And so although you got a big clump of pine trees, and I'm technically in a shade here, I do not feel the cooling effect. That's because I'm still absorbing that radiation going right around them round needles. They're so narrow, they're not blocking a lot. Whereas a shade, think water oak or some broad leaf tree, especially water oaks and things like that, because they were called cool shades in the past, because the tree is trying to cool itself. And so it does not perspire like we do, but it does release water through its leaves. And so therefore it is a cooler shade, okay? Our ancestors, before the days of air conditioning, were very versed in this. Here's something else you used to see in the past that you don't see anymore. And you old timers, silver wolves, going to remember this. It was a pasteboard fan that was stapled to a paint stir stick, and you'd see them at the church and stuff like that, sitting there fanning. Everybody had those. That was a pre-air conditioning, very common sight, and as a boy I saw that. That still works today. So if you're in a shade or whatever and you're still feeling too warm, fanning can help around the face, the neck, etc. The body's primary goal is to keep the core temperature cool, especially the brain. So therefore, fanning your head with something that produces quite a little breeze for a little effort makes a big difference. And so they knew what they were doing back then. Incorporate that into your logic to try to, I got to sit here and wait for the whatever at the construction site, and I'm in the shadow of the building, and yeah, it's technically, yeah, I'm in a shade, but there's no air moving. I'm hot. If there's no air moving, put my turkey feather back. If there's no air moving, you can make air move and help cool yourself. What's another step up that I can help cool myself? One, loose-fitting clothing that allows, as I breathe, as I move, this air can get out of it. Notice this collar is very open. This allows air to draft in at the bottom. As my body heat rises out of it, it'll cause a draft and keep cooler air coming to me. Thinner cotton in the summertime, not in the winter. Cotton is your friend in summertime, because once you perspire, and you're going to, and this gets wet, it will evaporative cool to help cool your body. Yes, it's going to get, like we used to call down here, irky. It's going to get stinky and it's going to get nasty, because that's coming out of you. But it will effectively cool you. So when we go camping, or did in the heat of the summer, one of the the best way to do it we found was we had our clothing that we're going to be wearing during the day. This, after the first day of sweating, was commonly called the Erky set because it was dirty, Erky. And then we had the bone dry set. That was the bone dry t-shirt, bone dry little pair of shorts, whatever, that you were going to sleep in. You did not wear them. You wore this. And then when it's end of the day, time to go to bed, you are down and it's cooled off. That's when you went over there and you washed off. You took a rag and some water or wet ones or baby wipes or something like that, and you removed as much body sweat as you could, dried just a little bit, and then you put on that bone dry shirt and shorts or whatever to sleep in. When you got up in the morning, you took those back off because they're still relatively dry and clean, and then you put the nasty set back on. Unless you had conveyance where you could carry multiple sets of clothing with you, you're going to put it back on. And quite often after a day or so, we would be near a water source or whatever, we would take these clothes. Whenever it was end of the day, we would take these clothes off and rinse them, hang them up to drip dry and cool off and relatively, dry. And then put on the clean set to sleep in. Tomorrow, these are still going to be damp, but the sweat and all has been washed out of them, so they're a little cleaner. They're not as irky, okay? You have to maintain this kind of rotation. Otherwise, salt deposits are going to build up in the armpits, in the crotch area, and these are going to cause, when they dry, salt from your sweat it's going to act like sandpaper, and you're going to chafe. And that is no fun. Once that outer layer of skin starts getting abraded, it's just no fun to be out here. Everything is bad then, so you must avoid it. Boudreaux's butt paste. Don't laugh. Go look for it in the big box stores where you got the baby stuff. And it's a cream that's used for butt rash for babies, diaper rash. Boudreaux's butt paste. One of the best things I ever found for chafing in the summertime and etc. Carry a tube with you if you're somebody who chafes badly, or if you're going on a long hike. And I have passed on this information to several people that were doing the Appalachian Trail and stuff in summer, and it's been a real lifesaver to keep them from chafing heavily in the heat. Okay, cooling technique. Keeping a shamog of some kind. I can wet this and put this around my neck. My hat being felt, I have dunked my hat completely underwater and let it absorb water, pick it up and let it drip dry just a second and put it back on my head. This acts like a wet towel on my head. And as it dries, that's evaporative cooling for me, see? And it helps keep my brain cooler, helps keep my core temperature down. Better than a plain cotton shamog is one of these, and I've talked about these many times in my videos. This open mesh that's fairly thick, and it's cotton, see? In extreme cases where you absolutely got to bring a core temperature down on somebody, this is the best thing that I know of in the field, because you can dunk this, get this wet, put it over the head and shoulders, leaving a pocket right here. So when I drape it over my head, right around my face, there's going to be a pocket. Lean head forward, and then fan it. This makes a swamp cooler, and it is shocking how cool that air is. Now, I know it sounds stupid. Don't believe me? Try it. And I have demonstrated it time and time again to people out in the extreme heat of doing that, where you've got too hot and you've got to bring your core temperature down. By doing that, you're breathing cool air. I mean really cool air. A swamp cooler, it was a primitive form of air conditioning you saw around things like grocery stores and churches even when I was a kid, that had been around in the 40s and 50s. You look up on top of the building and there was this big funny thing and water cascading down. That's what it was doing. It was air passing through a water-laden screen that made very cool air. Well, this works the same way, fanning it. Any kind of breeze forms cool air, and you're breathing cool air, see. A, it's evaporative cooling the head, and B, you're now breathing into your lungs cooler, much cooler, 30 degree cooler temperature air to cool your core temperature down. See, makes a real difference. Now, as long as we're talking about internals, if you've got conveyance and you've got the ability, what's stopping you from carrying an ice chest and some water? You know, some sort of refillable thing like this. It's hot. Long hikes in the summer is not a bright idea. Why can't we do it in the spring or the fall? It's hot, it's muggy, there's hardly any air moving. That's the big red flag for heat exhaustion, heat stroke. But if I can do something else along that line, how about we do driving this whatever trail? Or how about we go to various spots and do day camps, so to speak. Come in, set up, fish, whatever. Well, if I've got a conveyance, bring an ice chest and bring a bunch of water that I can convert to ice water like this, because this will bring your core temperature down. See? And heck, I poured this on my hat. I poured it on my shirt before to bring my core down. Don't be afraid. Fashion goes out the window whenever heat exhaustion and heat stroke's on the damn table. Don't worry about, well, you're going to be wet. You're wet anyway with sweat. Might as well be useful wet, and I'd rather be cool wet than just hot and muggy wet. So, carry load like that. And lastly, electrolytes. You need to be able to balance your electrolytes. Now, things like Gatorade and things like that, don't drink a steady diet of it, but like these little sachet packets by this company or others like Gatorade and etc., they'll put in water maybe every few hours, do one of them to replenish the minerals and things like that you're losing from your sweat. You'll feel better, you'll do better. That's the reason that Gatorade was such a game changer in athletic sports, was because you were putting that back in and they performed better. So it can still help you. These don't weigh nothing. Put a couple of these in your canteen set. Have a canteen cup or something you can do it, or like that ice water right there. I can turn this into this and have like a Gatorade or something to chill me. That helps. And finally, do not eat hot food. I don't mean to be forceful here, but guys, I had a good friend of mine that we had to carry out with heat exhaustion. He had brought food that he had to cook. He wanted to bring ramen noodles. And so here it is, like 105 before we added in heat index. It was a really hot August, and we were trying to hike along the river looking for possible hunting sites in the coming hunting season and places to fish out of, and etc. And it's hot, it's muggy, there's nothing going on. And we stopped, and he fired up that canteen cup. He was hungry, and he had hot soup. He brought his core temperature up, way up. And just a few minutes after he finished that, and we're getting ready to move on and everything, and we started noticing a problem. And he was getting disoriented, and he was sweating profusely as all get out. We had to stop. His name was Rick. And we finally, put him in the river. We were going along the edge of the river. We found a place he could actually get in the river, sat down, and we had to take turns, with arm over the shoulder, basically guiding him to get him back out of there, because he had gotten way too hot. And it was because he was already stressed, and then he ate hot food or drank something hot. Now, I know I can hear you right now. Well, Blackie, I drink hot coffee to cool off. No, the hell you don't. This is a no BS video. What you do is you pour hot liquid into your core, bring your core temperature up so that your outside feels cooler now than your inside. You didn't cool anything. It's a trick. Just like I'm freezing to death and I take a bite of a ghost pepper and suddenly I'm sweating. Well, I must have warmed up. You had a reaction. And I have seen a lot of guys on construction sites and stuff like that down here that would be chug-a-lugging hot coffee, and they hit the deck because, well, it cools you off. It just makes the inside feel hotter than the outside, but you're still too hot. So you got to bring your core temperature down. So don't be eating hot food. Carry stuff like MRE, meal ready to eat. You could eat it. Don't like that. How about crackers and some sort of little thing that doesn't require refrigeration? How about those single packets of Spam? Something like that. Don't eat hot stuff till after dark. Cold stuff that I can eat just right out of the package is what you're looking for. And God, I have eaten a ton of potted meat and crackers, or Spam singling crackers, or those things of cheese dip like you get for potato chips and crackers, rich crackers and stuff. I've ate a ton of that, and jerky and meat stick and all kinds of stuff on the go. There's tons of protein bars, but don't do anything to raise your core temperature. That's the thing. In the reverse of this, in the winter, we're always talking about keeping your core temperature up. So you need warm food, warm drinks, warm. Well, if it warms you in the winter, it don't cool you in the summer. See, the very thing I'd be doing in the winter of heating this up to eat to bring my core temperature up, doing the same thing the summer is the wrong way to go. See, you wouldn't want to drink ice water in the dead of winter when you're trying to stay warm. You wouldn't want to eat, ice cream and popsicles, and eat snow trying to stay warm, because it would bring down your core. Well, it will bring down your core in the summertime. So, carrying ice water, carrying things that I can get my electrolytes, that I can get my cooling, get my core down. Lastly, for us old silver wolves, you still want to get out and you want to do something. You're going to have to get up early. I mean, when I started this video, it was 6:10 in the morning. Here in my lower Alabama, with the heat index humidity, I have from about 5:30 a.m. to about 9 that I can get out and be really functional. And I needed to trim a tree in my yard, and I had, it's going to be about 30-45 minutes work. So I got up at 5 o'clock, and with the first gray lights of dawn, I was out there with my silky saw, and I cut the limbs I had to cut, and went and drug the limbs to the ditch and got it all done. I was done by 6:30, and then I drank plenty of liquids, cooled off, and etc. By 9 o'clock, I don't need to be out here because of my health condition. Now, just a little update. You guys have tracked me. What we've been able to figure out thus far, as I spoke of, is my body does not regulate heat well right now. I'm not sweating properly. So if you were to break down sweating into 3 layers, layer 1, the skin gets a little bit glistening. Layer 2, you actually get actually wet. You'll wet a shirt or something like that. And level 3 is when you get that rolling sweat, where sweat's coming down the side of your face and stuff like that. Apparently, I can't do that level 3 rolling sweat. The best I can do is at getting a little bit wet. And so I'm not cooling my body properly. This is a result of the stroke. Part of the brain that was damaged is the part that regulates body heat. And so this winter, whenever we had the blizzard of Alabama and we had 12 inches of snow down here, I never got truly cold. I got a little cool. And so I've got to be aware of that this winter now, don't I? Because apparently I'm not warming correctly and I'm not cooling correctly. So being an old silver wolf, and add blood thinners and heart medication, you got to just adapt. And so for us old silver wolves, you've got to adapt to the situation. So I'm coming out early. I'm doing my videos. I'm back into the AC by 9:30, 10. And if I start to get overheated, I have to grab ice water or something to bring my core temperature down. Same thing for you. Plan your activities. It's summertime and it's this hot, Blackie, but it's my day off and I want to do something. Great time to practice skills. How about you dig out those reading books you've been wanting to read to learn some new stuff, and during the heat of the day you get nice and comfortable and get you a nice comfy chair and read, or get online and start looking this stuff up. Build up some skill sets, learning, information, things like that, so that when it cools off this fall and you can get back out and do the camping and everything, you got new stuff to practice then, see. Same thing for you guys up north. Whenever it's dead of winter, it's blizzard conditions, it's cold all the time, and you can't get out because all the roads are shut down and you can't get in the back country and stuff like that. That's your time to get the books out and learn some skills so that when it warms up, you can go and do it. There's seasons. I remember reading a book when I was a child that talked about the winter count, and it was talking about that when these particular Indian tribes that were in the edge of the Rockies, that during the winter they would go to these special valleys that they had learned were better at being shielded from the worst of the weather because they were on the eastern slope of the mountain. And so therefore they got the sun first, they got, were blocked from a lot of the blizzard winds and stuff like that. And during that winter count, they would do the skills like making new moccasins, making new robes, making the fine detail work that you could be sitting by a fire in the teepee and do. That was the winter count. And I've tried to embrace that, but down here in my south, it's the summer count. Do the skills. My camping season is going to run from like September back around to May, and then I'm kind of out of it. But I can still be doing stuff. Same thing for you. When you can't get out there due to the heat, focus on the skills. When you can get out there, then go play with it and enjoy it. But keep in mind, keeping hydrated, keeping etc. And don't injure yourself by hot food, hot soup, hot coffee, and lots of alcohol. Bad idea on a hot day. Hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, please hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.